everyone, this is Chris from IELTSadvantage.com with another success story. So what we do in these videos is we show you a successful student and talk about their struggles, things they were stressed out about when it came to the IELTS exam, and how you can learn from them. So they're going to teach you about how they got the scores that they needed. So let me introduce you to Vijayanthi. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm terrible with pronunciation because there's so many different students from all around the world. And so apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. But can you introduce yourself and just tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Vijayanthi Jason, and I'm from India, and South India. State is Tamil Nadu, and from a city called Chennai. That's where I am coming from. And I took up my IELTS examination recently, and before that, while I was preparing, I came across your website about this challenge about writing scores, where you had taken us through lessons about writing examination. So I just enrolled myself for it online, and I was able to collect a lot of information and use that for my exam. So that's how, like, only through Facebook I happened to come across your advertisement, and then I enrolled myself. So that's how it all started.
And can you tell people the scores that you got?
Yeah, sure. I got an overall band of 8. In reading and listening, I got 8.5, and in writing and speaking, I got 7.5. Very
those are amazing. Those are amazing scores. And were you expecting those scores?
No, I did not expect these scores at all. Especially writing and speaking were very tough, and I mean, even while preparing also, like, it was generic, right? Like, it's not a particular subject kind. So I was finding it very difficult or nervous, in fact, of how I'm going to project everything. So these scores, I just wanted to just scrape through. Like, 7 was what I wanted to get, but the rest were a bonus for me. Thanks for it.
So let's focus on writing and speaking, because those are the two areas that you were most nervous about and you were struggling with. What did you find difficult about writing and speaking?
Okay. The thing is, for me, what happened is, the moment they give the question, I will start writing with whatever is coming through my mind. Now, from your course, what I have learned to do is take that a little bit of time to plan your answer, and then you have to structure each of the answers. So there are a lot of structures that you helped me go through. One part of it was the agree or disagree part of it. The mistake that I used to do is, after reading the question, if my answer to the question is, okay, I'm agreeing, then the whole 250 words essay was used to be only to substantiate my point of view. But only after taking your course, I came to know that we also have to mention one paragraph of the other's perspective. For example, if I'm agreeing, even the disagreeing part of it, for one paragraph, you have to mention why other people think so. And then there is an introduction, there's a conclusion. And even in the introduction, it is like what you want to say in the essay, and in conclusion, what you have just said. Though it might look repetitive, you need to paraphrase. So all these tips is what I got it from the training course. There are a lot of, in each paragraph also, there used to be structures defined. So that was also very, very helpful. So that was one thing I was struggling in, because I used to start off writing, somewhere I'll start, but I don't know how to end it properly, or, bring it to a proper conclusion. It'll go all around the place. So when there's a plan, when there's a structure, then you know how to, in the 250 words, concise everything.
Yeah.
So
So it's like
teach
someone gave
acceptance.
you a map of what to do. So before you were lost and you didn't know what to do or where you were going, and somebody gave you a map to show you exactly what to do. And I think that's what a lot of people have said to me, that they were, as soon as they saw the question, they just panicked and started writing immediately. Whereas
Yeah.
if you take time to plan out your ideas, plan out your structure, think about what you're going to say, think about how you're going to support your ideas with examples and explanations and things like that before you start writing, it's a really, really powerful thing. And that's where many people go wrong, because they start writing and then they get lost in the middle of it, and then some people delete everything and then go back and then get lost. And so there's that's really good advice. So let's now talk
Second,
about, oh yeah, there's more. Yeah, I see
sorry.
that you've got some notes. That's really
That
great.
is, no, that's
Yeah.
just one more point I wanted to add. The second part to what I was having a struggle in was idea generation.
Hmm.
Okay, so if the topic was unknown to me, then that is all. I will not be able to move forward itself. So that was one big drawback I had, disadvantage I had. But what your classes helped me to do is it asked me to ask questions in terms of why someone would think that way. Is
Hmm.
that ideological, obvious, or specific? I've just taken some notes also about it. And just answering those questions, what you had given me, gave me a lot of ideas. So even if the topic was an unknown topic, I was still be able to cover up the essay. I will still be able to write the essays.
Yeah.
That
So
was
that,
very
that that was
helpful.
for discuss both views questions. So when you get two views, think about it from another person's perspective. Why would they think that, or why would a lot of people think that? And that makes it far easier than trying to brainstorm. Brainstorming is the worst thing you could do, especially for IELTS writing task 2. You just don't have time, and it's not a very effective method of idea generation. In fact, it's the worst thing you could do. So yeah, so if you have a structure, you have a plan, and you can think of ideas quickly and effectively, then you're going to do quite well compared to if you don't have those things. So now let's move on to speaking. How did you get such a high score in the speaking test?
In speaking, what they give us a cue card, and we are asked to prepare for that 1 minute. So it helped me to write all the tips, like what points I want to cover. I was able to write it and then phrase it into answers. So the planning part of it helped me in speaking a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm. Definitely.
That's what I.
So similar to writing, speaking, you don't have as much time for part two speaking, but you do have 1 minute. And what a lot of students do for speaking part two is they'll get the cue card, and it will have a few bullet points. And what they'll do is in the when they're answering the question, they'll look at bullet point number one, answer it. Bullet point number
No.
two, answer it. Bullet point number three, and then they run out of out of things to say, and it's they don't have enough things to say in, because they have to speak for 2 minutes. But a really good idea is to add in more detail, structure your answer, think about what you're going to say, add new ideas. You don't have to just use the bullet points on the speaking part two cue card. You can talk about other things related to that topic, so adding those things in, adding things that you feel more comfortable talking about. All of those things just make it as easier for you. We can't make it easier, but we can make it as easy as possible for you.
Yeah, the answer should cover all the points, but it should not be like point one, point two, point three. It
Yeah.
should be in a like a paragraph, like you're giving an answer for all the questions in your own way.
Yeah.
That's
So
how.
don't you can use them. The bullet points are there to help you. So you should use them as a tool, but you shouldn't use them as a crutch to rely on, because there's so many other things related to the main topic that you can talk about. You could talk about the bullet points in a different order. You can leave them out if you want. I wouldn't recommend that, because they're very, very helpful. But yeah, speaking, in a more natural way to the examiner, not in a very robotic way where you're just looking at each bullet point and then saying something and then looking at the next one and saying something. You're just using them as tools rather than as a crutch. Really, really helps you.
Eye contact was a helpful one. It's nice if you do an eye contact with the person, invigilator, while speaking. And the thing is, we need not expect a nod or shake from them, but you know, it really helps you carry yourself well when you do an eye contact.
Yeah, eye contact, you won't get any extra marks for making eye contact, and you won't lose marks for not making eye contact. Eye contact is just about being a normal human being and speaking to someone as a normal human being. As if you speak to the examiner, I often talk to my students about being in test mode. And when they're in test mode, they speak to you like this. Hello, my name is Chris Pell. You know, they speak to you like a robot. Whereas if you're just relaxed and you're talking to the examiner like they're a friend or a colleague or a teacher, someone who you know and someone who you're comfortable talking to in a relaxed, friendly way, then that not only improves you know, your stress level, it improves, it reduces your stress levels, but it also helps your fluency, it helps your grammar, it helps your vocabulary, because your brain is just more relaxed and it's able to process information more freely. I'm not you know, a neuroscientist or anything like that. I don't understand the brain in that level of detail. But any students who speak to me in a very relaxed way do far better than students that are super stressed out and speaking to me like I'm just a recording device rather than a human being. So that's something that I say to every single student who I work with.
And this vocabulary also, you had given you had asked us, given a lot of lessons for us to for a particular word to make synonyms or concatenations of, or a better paraphrasing or rephrasing the questions and all that. And at the end of each lesson, you insisted that we write our answers, and I think I did that religiously because yeah, it really helped me in my final examinations. Since we are in the digital world, you know, even holding a pen is a very difficult thing, and it's like for elders and adults, we're so used to keyboard and touchpad and all those things only. So writing in a pen or pencil is a very important stuff. We need to practice it many times. And I remember you telling us, if you don't write the answers to these questions, you're going to fail.
Yeah, that was me being a little bit dramatic, maybe to get people to do it. But I totally agree with you. It's all about just doing the thing. So if you read 1,000 words, that's not as good as reading 10 words, but then writing those words out and writing synonyms, collocations, antonym, rephrasing them, using them in example sentences. Just doing the thing is so important. Or you could watch 10,000 hours of YouTube, and that is completely useless compared to a student who watches 1 hour of YouTube but does the thing, you know, does whatever they're learning in the thing. It's all about doing and practicing more than consuming, because that's a big problem these days, because there's so much on YouTube, there's so much on the internet, there's so much on Facebook, and people become just consumers of information rather than, you know, actually doing the thing, because that's what you will have to do on test day. So yeah, that's amazing advice. Thank you very much. And just let's finish up now with what are you going to be able to do in the future now with your scores?
Yeah, after this, my husband was going to take up IELTS examination, and we have plans for migration to another country. So hopefully
Excellent.
It will work.
Well, I've got new free live training starting on Wednesday. So tell your husband it's starting on Wednesday so he can join for free. You can see it on the Facebook page and everything.
Sure. Thank
Great.
you so much.
Thank you so much, and best of luck in the future. And if you need anything in the future or anything like that, or if your husband needs help, just let me know.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.